Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Women's Sports Matter podcast. My name is Castro and I'm your host. Today we're going to be talking about two things, but the main point of this whole podcast episode today is going to be the title. The main thing I will be talking about today is why it shouldn't matter that these athletes in the men's sports, by the way, have shorter off seasons because the women have it worse, quite frankly. And the other thing I'm going to be talking about today is why local media should also be covering women's sports and what I'm going to do about it in my hometown. So I have nothing else to say here except, I'm wearing my Chicago Sky's shirt. Go Chicago Sky. Support your local women's teams, especially if they're planning to have a season and they're planning to have fans. Go even buy their merch. Support your leagues, women's leagues. So yeah, we're gonna go to commercial break real quick. So if you're on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google, you know the drill. We got a commercial going about today's sponsor, Anchor, which is the application that I'm using to record this podcast, and which you probably, or at least could be, listening to this podcast on right now. How cool is that? If you're on YouTube, you're not getting an ad. You can see me wave, though. Hi, I'm waving right now. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Same name of the podcast. Look it up. Subscribe so you can see my beautiful face. Okay, so I'm going to cut to commercial, and we'll be right back. This is the Women's Sports Matter podcast. Now let's go to commercial. Alrighty, wasn't that amazing listening to my wonderful voice talk about this app that I'm using right now to record my podcast? Very cool. Before I open about what I want to talk about today, I've been doing some thinking recently. What if I change up my logo for my podcast? Even though the first episode, I was like, yeah, I love my logo. I probably won't get rid of it. I made it myself. It wasn't that hard. Adobe Photoshop is really easy to use. So, yeah. Fun fact of the day, I'm not sitting in a chair like I usually do. My sister took my chair and never put it back. So I'm kneeling right now. I'm kneeling on the ground. I will show you. I'm standing up now. Maybe I should just record podcasts like this, but you can see my wrinkly shirt now. And it just looks stupid. Looks like I'm doing a video project for school or something. I don't feel right. I wish I had my chair in my room. I just have to go downstairs and get it. It's fine. By the way, I'm 5'2", so if I look short on camera, it's because I am. Okay, moving on a minute. Pop a squat. I'm really old. My knees hurt. I hear the bones cracking and stuff like that. I'm not that old. I'm only 18. Almost 18 and a half. It's almost been 6 months since I've turned 18. I know. I really don't care about half birthdays, though, because I don't think they matter. But that's not the point of this episode. So first things first. 71 days. Short off season for the NBA. And all these men are whining. And people are like, why are they only having 71 days? Here's a question that I don't know the answer to. And if someone wants to let me know, that would be great. Okay, that would be awesome. How many days does a WNBA player or NWSL player have before their season starts, when they go overseas? Here's what happens in the W and then WSL. Season is over. Boom, congrats, yay. Championship is won by whoever. Seattle Storm, let's say. Okay. We'll use them as an example here. Seattle Storm wins. You know how many of their players go overseas to play basketball in the off-season? So they can make more money to support themselves because they don't make enough as it is. I also did write a paper on this. I did talk about this a while ago. In the episode titled, let me go and minimize my camera so I can pull up Google Chrome. And actually, let me do that really quick. Extend my browser. I'm not singing it again, so don't ask. What episode did I talk about that on? Why does it always ask me to log in? Don't just remember my password, Anchor. It's not that hard. What episode is it? Oh, I have to go to the episodes tab. Duh. Episodes. Let's see. Scroll. We do be scrolling though. It's called Equal Play, Equal Pay, and that was from May 25th. So if you want to hear about my paper that I wrote on that, I make some great points. But players have very short off seasons, and it's not fair to them and their bodies, quite frankly. So Seattle Storm wins the championship. Guess what? We have Breanna Stewart leaving to go play in Russia with Allie Quigley, Courtney Vandersloot. I think, who else is there? Oh my god, I have to look up UMMC's roster really quick because it is stacked. I say a lot. That needs to stop. Let's look up their roster. They are killing it. Brittany Griner is on that team. They just kill it every year. So, even going back, I'm going to make a point. Breanna Stewart, amazing basketball player. Won MVP in the playoffs this year. Just came back from an ACL tear that she suffered in Russia when she was playing with UMMC in 2019, and came back this year, was a beast on the floor. Moving on. We have a lot of amazing athletes on UMMC. I don't watch any of their games, though. Emma Mieseman, Jonquel Jones, Brittany Griner, Maria Vadiva as well. All WNBA players on here. Well, mostly. And then the rest are a bunch of Russian people that I have no idea who they are. But they are stacked. And these people play across Europe. We have Russia, France. I'm blanking. I think Latvia. Some people play in China, Australia, Israel, Turkey. Stuff like that. What is your point, Gianna? That is a great question. What is my point? These people suffer enough. They get injured when they go overseas. They don't have enough time anyway. Their season starts. Yikes. Big yikes. I'm going to ask Google a question. I'm asking Google, how long is the WNBA off season? Okay. I didn't want to know that it was the 23rd season. Did I ask? I want to know how long the off season is. See, they won't tell me. Okay, this is... We're in the off season right now, by the way. There weren't many games this year as well within the WNBA. I'll ask, how long is the NBA off season? Okay, that is a... It's looked up a lot that it finished it for me. Okay, that's an article from 2014. let's look at an article from NBC Sports from 2020, this past summer, actually. So, that did not answer. Well, the NBA season is starting Christmas week. There's games tonight as well. I'm recording this on December 11th. And I'm starting to become uncomfortable in my position that I'm in right now. 71 days. I don't even know. I already knew the answer. I'm not going to take the time to look up other ones. But the thing is with me, and I feel like I've been repeating myself and I haven't been talking about actual things yet, is that these people have shorter off seasons. You go from winning the championship with Seattle, let's say the WNBA championship. You win it. Okay, cool. But guess what? You have to leave within that week to go to Russia and play overseas. And then by the time your season is done, a few weeks later, you have training camp for your team. That is a very short time off, and your body is constantly working. I also did a speech on this. Where would it be saved? It's not on my Google Drive. Obviously, it's in my Files Explorer somewhere over the rainbow. Just kidding. Can't do a lot of things at once. Okay, it's in my OneDrive actually. I am confusion. Is this it? Yes, it is. Okay, so just to move this over so I can see myself on camera. Did I talk about that? No, I didn't. Okay, well, the whole point of this was to talk about inequalities in sports. And I should have written about how people don't get enough time off. These women don't get enough time off. And if we're going to talk about Breanna Stewart for a second, let's talk about that too. Does Breanna Stewart deserve the recognition that she got from Sports Illustrated? Yes. Do I think that they should have added more people to that recognition within Sports Illustrated? Yes. I think Breanna Stewart should have been a part of the athlete activisting thing with the entire WNBA. And here's why. The WNBA has done so much within this year in regards to activism. For example, we have the entire WNBA pulling for the support of Reverend Raphael Warnock in the upcoming Senate runoff election happening on January 5th. Now, I didn't know anything about Kelly Loeffler, or however say her name. I'm just going to call her Loeffler. I don't know if I'm saying it right or not. I really don't care, to be honest. Once I found out who she was and how she was dealing with things, I was like, okay, who let her do this? I didn't know she was a senator. She was placed into that Senate spot. She was never elected into office. She spoke out about players kneeling. She is a owner of the Atlanta Dream, for anyone that does not know what I'm talking about. And once everyone realized she didn't support the players of the team that she owned, everyone was like, screw you. We're going to support your opponent. And the W is a highly democratic group of people. Mostly, I'm assuming. Mostly. So, I guess this made it easier for them to campaign against her. And then I found out who Warnock was. I actually watched, who was it that died recently? Was it John Lewis? I watched his funeral. He was presiding over it. I did not know he was running until I saw a picture of him and like some Sue Bird or someone talking about him. Yeah. But if you live in Georgia, by the way, I'm just telling you again because I don't know if I have listeners in Georgia or not. Or if you're from Georgia and you're going to school somewhere else. Vote Warnock and Ossoff in the runoff election happening on January 5th. I said it was happening on January 25th for some reason. It's not. It's happening on January 5th. Whew. You can still request a mail-in ballot. Okay, cool. That's my little political spiel for you. Instead of saying it at the end of the episode. Request your ballot. Go vote Democratic. So we can get Mitch McConnell out of his position as Senate Majority Leader. He's a terrible leader. And he looks like... What's that fish? That... looks like his face. I think we all know what I'm talking about. It's the pink one. I'm going so off topic. This is not off topic discussion. This is not off topic discussion. This is an episode that I decided I wanted to do today. Okay, moving on. I see my brain just goes all over the place for no reason. Okay, this document isn't any helpful anymore. And with NWSL players as well, they do different things too. Most of them go to Australia because their season is right after the NWSL's. And I'm trying to think of any other countries. I don't know if they do anything in New Zealand. Europe's season happens right now. You don't really hear a lot about people going to Europe. It's more of like a transfer situation kind of thing, or a loan, not necessarily going to play in the W League in Australia. But then again, shortened off seasons, that doesn't make any sense. Here's why they shouldn't have a shortened off season. Number one, players' bodies. That sucks to have to play basketball year-round with basically no break. And also another thing, you're not seeing your family. That's number two. That's an L. Take the L, everyone. You're not seeing your family. That is ridiculously tough. And especially if you have a partner as well. I could not imagine what that is like. I have no idea. If you're a WNBA player or NWSL player that has played overseas and you somehow listen to my podcast, I would love to have you on to talk about playing overseas, what it's like, how you deal with it, things you've learned, which season is better, your off-season or your regular season, and just some insight into that. So, I'm shooting my shot, guys. We'll see if anything happens or works out. Moving on. Number 3, the last one, is mental health. I think mental health is super important, especially you're traveling all this time, you're away from others, you're meeting new people, you're away from home. Big ouch to your mental health. I feel like that's a big thing. Save the best for last, am I right? I hope that these athletes have someone to talk to when they're overseas. Maybe like a therapist from home or something, or maybe even a friend. I know time zones are difficult, but I wish that I knew that these things are happening for these athletes, because they're people too. And that's all I have to say about that. Wow, 18 minutes. No. Yeah, 18 minutes of me not knowing what to say. Okay, we're going to move on to our next topic. And the last topic of this podcast episode. Am I holding my mic right? That is the real question. If I clip it on my shirt, you can hear me breathe. And I don't like that. So, yeah. No, that's not the topic, guys. It's not the topic. I wish it was. I really wish it was. I could make a whole episode about that. I'm waiting to get a bear mic, because I need one to hook up to my laptop so I can stop recording from my phone. And then I can just add the audio from online on Anchor. Well, actually from my computer to Anchor. And then I would look more professional anyway. Maybe people will pay attention to me. Maybe I should start making thumbnails for my episodes. But I don't have access to Adobe Photoshop. And I don't have enough money to pay anyone to do that. So yeah. But actually, here's a topic that I wanted to discuss. Local media. My local stations are all Chicago stations. So what is my problem exactly? I'll tell you what my problem is. Today I was watching WGN. Like a weirdo. Actually, my favorite is NBC, and you can come at me. You can come at me. I will be okay with that. We all have our opinions. We can discuss that. But my mom was watching it, and, of course, sports. All guys sports. Who cares? Whatever. I go online to their website, because my mom wanted me to look up a recipe that was just on. I go to their sports section. Chicago Fire, Chicago Bulls, Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs, Chicago Blackhawks. All the guys' sports. Did you know that there's, at least to my knowledge, 3 professional women's teams in Chicago? I'm gonna fact check myself just to make sure. Chicago professional. Can I spell? Is the real question. Oh, I forgot the Bears. Who cares? I don't like football. Sports in Chicago. Wikipedia. Thank you. Okay, Wikipedia likes to disrespect the softball team. Well, that's cool. What do we have here? Is the Bandits considered minor league? Is it? Because I thought that it was considered major league. Well, what does it say when I go to the name? The National Pro Fast Pitch is a professional women's softball league. I'm going to say that's a professional team, and they did the Bandits dirty. Anyway, just a reminder, if you're in Chicago, you have 3 professional women's sports teams that you should be talking about. Number 1, Chicago Bandits, softball team. They play at the ballpark at Rosemont. Number 2, we have the Chicago Red Stars in the NWSL. This is a soccer team, by the way. They play at SeatGeek Stadium in Bridgeview. Okay. And last but not least, we have the Chicago Sky. Represent. WNBA. It's a basketball team. They play at Wintrust in downtown Chicago. They split their arena with DePaul basketball. Okay. Red Stars and Sky have not won a championship yet. But the Bandits have won 4. So, we love that for them. But I was on their website. I'm going to open up my camera back so it looks like I'm looking at the screen. Hi there. I'm going to back up a bit. The quality on this camera is ridiculous. I should turn a light on. Does it make it any better? No, it doesn't. My hair is awful. Okay. It is quite a common theme for news channels to not cover women's sports. Again, I made an episode about the media last season. And I'll do it again. Okay? I'm going to do it again. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I will be emailing multiple news networks. Okay? Number 1, we have NBC5 Chicago, CBS, ABC, WGN. Am I missing something? I don't watch Fox, the local one at least. Do I wanna talk to them? Do I want to talk to them? I'm not going to talk to them. I'm going to talk to Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 7, and Channel 9. So, CBS, NBC, ABC, WGN. I'm going to be like, hey, listen, I watch your news station. I watch all of these, by the way, just not all the time. I'm gonna be like, hey, quick question. Did you know that you're forgetting to cover a few major league sports teams? Well, I'm gonna be nice about it, of course. I have a favor to ask, basically. This is what I'm gonna say. Can you start becoming more inclusive in your sports media? It's not fair. These women work as hard as the men to play the sport that they love. It's not just about the NFL or the NHL or the NBA, MLB, etc. Show support for these women. They deserve recognition. They belong on people's TV screens. Also, along with the fact that these channels will cover Notre Dame or Northwestern, but will forget that these colleges also have women's programs. DePaul is always good. Always. And that's someone that's a Loyola fan, basically. I don't like DePaul. Even though that's literally where this person on the back of my jersey went. I'll allow it. I'm more of a Loyola fan myself, because I applied there, and I didn't get in. And I'll probably get in again, who knows. That's not what this is about. These women deserve to be covered. Plain and simple. And I'm gonna ask my listeners to do the same. Now, I know in Portland they support, like, everyone. Or in Seattle, like, they're very avid supporters, at least from what I'm seeing. Maybe they're not. Who knows? I'm just guessing here. Email your local news stations, your newspapers, whatever you think is not trying to promote these women's leagues the best. I'm searching for something. Let me grab it. These people deserve to be recognized for their efforts. It's not a once-in-a-while thing when, the Chicago Sky played the Connecticut Sun in the first round of the playoffs and they lost. Okay. No, that's not how this goes. You report about every single game for the men's teams. Every single flipping game. And you can't do the same. At least for the women's professional teams. It's kind of sad, local news stations. I'm embarrassed. And I'm embarrassed of ESPN as well. ESPN is such a flippin' shit show. When do they talk about the WNBA or NWSL? You hear that? Crickets. Never. Never. I'm so tired of saying football, football, football. NBA, MLB, NHL. Well, actually, no. Football, football, college sports, NBA, etc. It's the lack of recognition for the MLS, WNBA, NWSL, and NHL for me. And women's college sports. I watched ESPN the other day. It was when LeBron signed his extension or whatever. That's all they talked about for that hour before the Indiana-Texas game was on. I was watching men's college hoops because I was bored. All they talked about was LeBron and his max deal. And then today I was watching it. Paul George got a max deal. Stop talking about the Clippers. We all know that they suck. We all know that the Lakers are the better LA team. Always will be. Why do you think Doc Rivers left? Come on. It's sad that they talk about the same thing all the time. And then the keyboard warriors. What's up with that? That was an episode a few episodes ago. If you want to check out my episode about keyboard warriors where I talk about how keyboard warriors don't know anything at all. A bunch of little boys behind a screen. And I also talked about Sarah Fuller and Christy Mewis in that episode as well. So if you want to listen to that, check that out too. It's a shame that women's sports don't get covered enough. And so here's a little thing for you guys to end this episode. I want you to do what I'm going to do. I want you to email these television stations. And I want you to say, I'm disappointed. I will stop watching your station. I will tell my family members, my friends, and colleagues to stop watching your station if you don't start covering all major league sports teams in our area. It's sad, quite frankly. It's a shame. If you don't cover these things, it's like it's not a thing, but it is. Here's a fun fact. Hey, let's talk about fun fact of the day. Fun fact of the day. I said I wasn't going to sing anymore. I'm a liar. Let's go to the NWSL Instagram real freaking quick. Do I have a new phone? I have 2 notifications on my Instagram for the Women's Sports Matter podcast. Oh! I got tagged in something. Why did I get tagged in something? And why am I tagged? Why was I tagged? Why was I tagged? We have a development here. Hey, since I'm on my Instagram for my podcast, by the way, follow me. My @ is Women's Sports Matter on Instagram. Follow me, please. I have 11 followers. It's mostly my friends that are being nice and supporting me. I wonder if they listen to my podcast or not. I was tagged here. Why was I tagged? I think they may have tagged the wrong account. Who knows? We'll look into that later. I was tagged in a post. I have 12 followers. Including me. So 11. Because I do follow my own podcast. Wouldn't you? Let's talk about media and the NWSL. I just have to pull up, I put it on my Instagram story a few days ago. The NWSL ranked first in social media engagement in major professional sports leagues. And this is out of the WNBA, NWSL, MLB, NFL, MLS, NHL. So that's interesting. On Twitter, the NWSL, actually no, both Instagram and Twitter, NWSL had most engagements between all other sports leagues in the United States. Professional sports leagues. I wonder if they put the NWHL in this as well, even though they have 6 teams. One is in Canada. By the way, Toronto 6 follows me on Twitter, and I just think that's really cool. I'm running out of things to say. If you put these people on TV, you will get viewers. This is how this works. This is what happened with the NWSL's Challenge Cup and the WNBA finals. When you put it on TV, people will watch. That's what happens. And clearly, if you do your research, viewership has gone up. I don't know what to say to that, but I mean, that sounds like people are watching. When you make it available to them, people will become more aware if you let them become aware. And you show them, hey, this is happening in our city. I almost fell over. Okay, that's enough for me. Moral of the story is talk to your local television stations and say that we want you to cover our local teams, our local professional sports teams. And for places that don't have women's sports teams, you can email Chicago's, for example, or whatever you want. That looks like that is going to be all that I'm going to talk about today. So, first of all, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Women's Sports Matter podcast. I am your host, Gianna Castro. It's always a pleasure to be here and to talk about one of my favorite things in the world, which is women's sports. I want to have a career in women's sports as well. I don't care what people say about it's not marketable, it doesn't have a future. Oh, it does. The future is very, very bright. And I'm so excited for whatever that is for me. I almost fell over again. If you want to hear more episodes, you always can. Take time to listen to whatever episodes you want. You never have to listen in order. Okay? I never have 2-parters. Because I don't like that. I think that's very rude to the listener. You can find me on 2 social medias. First off, I would like to say I refuse to have a Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Women's Sports Matter. And you can find me on Twitter at WSM Podcast. Whoop. Whoop. I'm never doing that again. Please follow me on social media to see more of stuff that I do. I'll post a meme or 2. I'll give a hot take every now and then. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, how's it going? I just waved hello and gave you an L. You're welcome. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. And like all my videos. Thank you. That means a lot. It really does. Down below will be the email addresses to all the local news stations that I talked about in today's episode, at least for Chicago. And you can go email them if you want to. I just want to put that resource out there for everyone. Okay, cool. Remember, we're still in a pandemic and we're probably not going to get the vaccine for a while. So remember to wear a mask, wash your hands, and social distance when you can. Alrighty. I got nothing to complain about at the end of this episode. Well, besides the fact that I complained this whole entire time. Okay, be safe. I've got nothing else to say. That's all, folks. Have a nice rest of your day.